What's up, everyone? Okay, so in this video, we're going to be talking about 5 tips that you can use to stop comparing yourself to others and mindset shifts that you can take to really understand why it's so important, which will propel you to not compare yourself to others even more. So let's get started. The first one is to realize that comparing yourself to others is a very common and endless cycle. And if you don't break out of it, you will constantly inflict pain on yourself and it never ends. I watch a lot of podcasts and YouTube videos, and two in particular, 10x Talk and I Love Marketing, and the third one would probably be maybe Entrepreneur on Fire. Those 3 podcasts, they have a lot of episodes and they have a lot of very successful entrepreneurs on all the time. And a lot of these shows have this theme where these entrepreneurs reveal that I can't help but compare myself to this guy who's making a lot more than me. And the crazy part is these people are already making a killing. Some are making 10 million a year. Some are making a million a year. The point is they, once they get there, are comparing themselves to the next stage up. And so it's just a constant, never-ending cycle, especially when it comes to making money, because there's always someone who makes more. Once you make a billion, you want to make even more. And the funny part is a lot of billionaires don't do this. They never got to the billionaire standpoint by doing any of this. They were never comparing themselves to others. When you're impacting so many people on such a scale, oftentimes, a lot of these people, whether it's Warren Buffett, Phil Knight, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, all these people and more, Sam Walton, Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, these people really cared about doing what they loved and slash or making a huge impact on the world. And Richard Branson is another great example. They were never really comparing themselves to others. So realize that it's a never-ending cycle, and a lot of these people, they never stop, and they're just like constantly chasing this and feeling unhappy and never really feeling grateful for what they have. And I just think that's a rather sad state to be in. I think there should be a point where you appreciate what you have. So that's the first thing, and once you understand that, it's good. It's a good way of moving on. The second thing is to realize that your comparisons are often not parallel. What do I mean by that? Well, basically, usually people compare themselves to people that are like a lot older than him, 30 years older. So you're basically comparing yourself to someone who is really, really old. Let's take Gary Vaynerchuk, for example. He's a very popular entrepreneur nowadays. This guy is old. And I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way, but a lot of young kids who are in their 20s, maybe even, mid 20s, I would cap it there. They're like, oh my goodness, look how little I've done. And yet they're half the age of this man. They have all this time. They could literally go into hiding and just read a lot of books for like 10 years, and they would still have all this time before they reach that person's age. So it's a matter of really not understanding this, and two, it's just not comparing yourself to the right thing and being impatient. And the entrepreneur Ramit Sethi is a very successful person as well. He says something very similar. He says, stop trying to be 30 before you're 30. And the point of that is he has a lot of people who contact him and they're like, oh my goodness, you're so successful, so wealthy, so sociably intelligent, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, dude, I'm like 15 years older than you. When I was your age, I was worse than you. So I wouldn't even go as far as comparing myself to people a lot older than me or people my age, because either of those, again, it leads back to point number one, which is that it's unhealthy. There's always going to be someone better. You should only compare yourself to yourself. That leads to point number 3. And surprisingly enough, despite my small YouTube channel, I got a message a few months ago from a viewer, and he was like, "Oh my goodness, you're so, look at all these videos and all the books you read. I mean, I could only wish to accomplish this. I mean, I'm so far behind compared to you." And he was comparing himself to me. And the funny part is, in a lot of ways, I'm really not that great. For example, I mean, I study a lot of this, but it's because I'm not good at any of this, and in some ways below average in terms of emotional intelligence, social intelligence, and so forth. And in terms of results, I mean, I'm not a millionaire yet, let alone not a billionaire, of course. So a lot of these results, there's so many people better than me. There's millions upon millions of millionaires right now, and thousands of billionaires, and then all sorts of people who are socially intelligent, have more friends, blah, blah, blah. And so I come from it as a person who is learning and passing it on along the journey. And yet this young viewer thought that I was like so accomplished. And so really it's certainly a matter of perspective, but also it's realizing a lot of our stuff. Plus I'm a lot older than I look, and then plus on top of that, I know a lot of people who, not a lot, I know a couple people, I've stumbled across a couple people online who read just as much as me, and they don't seem to be doing that well too. Like just judging by how they're, they do their hair, how they talk, you can tell that their life is a mess. And the truth is, knowledge doesn't turn into results until you bring it into action. You could read 10,000 books, but if you don't put it into action, it's not going to work. So that's another talk for another day. But it's a matter of perspectives. Point number 4: have an external versus internal scorecard. This is a concept from Warren Buffett, and I started my research into self-development by studying him. Him being one of the most wealthy, successful businessmen in history. And Warren skipped this whole entrepreneurial dilemma of comparison because he always had an internal scorecard. And what that means is that he doesn't judge his success by what society or others deem successful. He always had an internal scorecard of what he deemed successful. In fact, he says that to him, what success is having a lot of people that you want to love you actually love you. And he said that matters more than how much money you make or anything else. And he doesn't know a single person who has that, who has a lot of people who love him, love them. He doesn't know a single person like that who is not happy. But he does know a lot of people who are really rich who doesn't have that, and they're really unhappy because of it. And the people that they do seem to like him, they're not actually, they don't even like these people. They just like them for their money. So it's a very profound topic, and it goes more into what really matters in life. But it's really important for you as well. Have an internal scorecard. It doesn't matter, what that other person is saying, because there's all these different metrics that you can choose that may be different from other people on what is successful. And for me, once I make a certain amount, I don't care how much other people make, because there's other things that are more important to me on what is successful. Do I have healthy relationships? Do I spend enough time with loved ones? Do I give back and help others? So those are just examples. I'm not imposing my own values on you, but hopefully it does rub off slightly, because I do think they're good values to take on. The point is, have internal versus external scorecard. And then the 5th thing that you can do is simply change your environment. There's a lot of successful people. In fact, recently I just listened to a podcast episode of 10X Talk, and the speaker literally said the same thing. Actually, it was from the podcast I Love Marketing. Sorry, wrong podcast. Anyhow, the speaker was talking about how he was pretty rich and he lived a successful life, and then he lived smack dab in the middle of like Beverly Hills, California, and it was horrible because everyone in his neighborhood was really superficial, and they would throw these like really expensive birthday parties for their children just to like one up each other, and they were kind of like, they would look down on other people, and they were all lawyers, and he just hated it, so he moved. And this goes into biology and the psychology of your brain. There's many books on this, but I'll spare you from reading them. The point is that it can take up to 10, if not more, 10 positive interactions or memories to make up for one negative event. So if one person insults you, it can take 10 positive events to wash that over. And basically, our brains are wired to bias negativity so much because in the past, if you didn't, you would be killed. Like if a tiger, if like the trees look like a tiger just passed by, it's better to dwell on that or you would die. But in the modern world, we don't have dangerous stuff like that. And we let negativity and comparison consume our lives, and it overweighs us unnecessarily. We overbias it. So the point is, set up environments where you're not like that. If I was filthy rich, I would not live in a neighborhood where people were just as rich as me. Or even worse, if they were richer than me, because you're constantly comparing yourself to your neighbors. And I would probably do something like Warren Buffett, live in a neighborhood where everyone just has a modest house and they don't really care that much about superficial stuff, because it pushes aside this unconscious comparison game you're constantly going through. If you live like in a modest house in a neighborhood where everyone's poorer than you and you're not showing off any expensive stuff, there's no comparison going on. It's a chill life and it doesn't go through. Now extend that beyond just where you live. What about what's your lifestyle like? Are you surfing Facebook unnecessarily and looking at people that you don't even know that well, spending money that they don't have to impress people that they don't know, aka you? If that's the case, get off there, because why are you spending your time comparing yourself to all these people that you don't even know in real life? It's just a retarded game. And having said that, people do this. A lot of people. It's not just guys, it's girls too. In fact, I found that girls do this more than guys. Why? I think it's something genetic. I'd see it all across the board. Thousands of girls and guys do this. I think it's genetic, really. I think girls do this, and this is just a theory, but I think girls show off and curate all the exotic places they go and the expensive clothes that they have, that I don't know where they get the money. Some of them, they don't seem to be making that much, so I'm guessing they're living paycheck to paycheck. I don't know, but I see a lot of girls, they're just like showing off their lavish lives, and guys do this too, or their incredible lifestyles on Facebook or Instagram. And perhaps it's a genetic thing where they're trying to kind of showcase their attractability to attract better mates. And it makes a lot of sense when you look at the evolutionary biology behind it. Like, it's very clear as day that this may be true. But the point is, that doesn't mean you have to partake in this. If you just make a conscious effort and say, okay, they're doing this, but it's not helping me. In fact, especially for people who they take it negatively. Like, for most of you watching this, you're probably taking it negatively. Like, when you see this, you're jealous or envious, and you just get into a downward spiral. For those people, it's just a waste of time. So just turn off Facebook, delete it, whatever else. Some, like a small minority, some people, they'll be like more motivated by this, and it just makes them more positive, and it doesn't really affect them negatively. Maybe for you, you can stay on Facebook or any other social platform that does this. So for you, maybe it's not an issue, but just be aware of what impacts you, and then just cut it out. And the last thing I have to say is that in terms of social comparison, Charlie Munger has an incredible quote for this. He says, "Jealousy is the only sin that doesn't feel good." And jealousy has had its purposes, and it still does. Most jealousy has to do with sexual competition in some way, shape, or form. There's two main reasons people are jealous. One is to protect their partners from cheating, which is something that happens quite a lot. And they are rightfully jealous oftentimes for this, to protect potential suitors. The second reason is to acquire wealth or status and therefore attract females. Again, if you want more reading on this, there's a lot of studies and information on this in that book, Why Women Have Sex. But the point that you need to know is that because these things are taking place, that's why jealousy evolved. But in the modern world, that doesn't mean it's a productive emotion. In fact, most of the time, all it's doing is wasting your precious time on this earth before you depart, and making you feel worse. It's just making you feel negative and wasting your time. Like, why would you consciously waste an hour of your time feeling worse off if you can help it? So just cut out that jealousy, and you've just saved yourself an hour a day or an hour a week where you're not feeling crappy. And so, in certain ways, some people would argue that if it does motivate you to succeed more and develop yourself, it could help. But I would like to err on the side of caution, because generally speaking, it's not a negative emotion. It's a negative, unproductive emotion. And definitely don't use it to tear other people down, which is what some people do. Rather than trying to build up their own achievements, they will decide, if I just tear down other people, then I will look higher. And that is something that's, it's definitely not the theme of my channel, definitely not about what I do. So definitely don't do that. And that's why I recommend that you stay away from jealousy. So those are the 5 tips plus that bonus tip of jealousy. In conclusion, just to summarize once again, I'll go backwards because I'll remember them better. Don't be jealous for the reasons listed. 5, set up systems for your environment so you are in the most healthy situation, whether that means where you live, whether that means where you go online. And that doesn't mean you have to live in a super poor neighborhood. It just means living in maybe even a modest middle-class neighborhood rather than super luxurious neighborhood where everyone's a show off. Number 4 is, well, I forgot. You get the point. This video is already really long. Thanks for watching, and hit the subscribe button if you're new. Let me know what you thought about this video, what you liked, what you didn't like, what other questions you had that you wished I answered. And that way I can take your feedback and make videos that help you even better in the future. Thanks for watching, and I apologize that I could not keep this as short as I wanted. Thanks for watching. See you guys later. Peace.